Community. Community is a must for your crowdfunding campaign. So if you want to fund fast, you need to have people there on day one. And they also need to have some familiarity with you and your game. They need to like you, they need to like your projects, they need to like this current game or the previous ones. I think that basically there cannot be no marketing budget that gets results as fast as a strong community. Doesn't matter how much money you throw at the problem, a strong community will always win in this situation. So what are the problems of building a community? There are two ways to do it. One is doing it cheap, one is doing it fast. Of course, there are drawbacks for both options. So if you want it cheap, it will take a long time to build organically. And I'm not talking weeks, I'm talking months and probably years. You need to start this work slow. It will take so much time for people to join your community and become part of the community and become active in your community, because a lot maybe will join but will be lurkers, so they will not contribute in any way. It will take time. This is why I'm always suggesting that you start the work on your crowdfunding campaign a lot earlier than when you plan to launch, because this stuff takes time. Also, it will require a lot of work that is unrelated to the specific project you are promoting through your crowdfunding. Because when you build it over months and years, people will start to follow you for one thing and then they will get interested in the new one. So be prepared. You need to provide a lot of content for people to get hooked to your community and continue to contribute positively to it. If you want it fast, you will have to throw a lot of money at the problem. And how much? Well, it depends on the size of the kind of community you need, how they engage with your content, and how much time do you have. Having 2 months before the campaign starts to build a community from scratch absolutely means throwing so much money on the problem and trying to see what sticks, because you didn't have the time to develop a strategy to understand what people really like and to create content that goes with it. You still need to have something for them to discuss, to do. So just sponsoring your game and showing them marketing only, it's not gonna fly. They need to feel part of something that they can contribute to. So this is mainly like, beside the time constraints, is that if you just push content that they are supposed to receive passively, you're not really building a community. Maybe you're building some kind of audience, but not a community. A community needs to contribute, they need to discuss, and the best kind of community doesn't need you there. They can kind of do their own thing and loosely connected to something you gave them in the beginning. But what I'm trying to do with my project says that I don't need to be there all the time, because it becomes very overwhelming very quick. If that's in the beginning, you will need to be there more, and then when it starts to develop, a bit less, hopefully. Also, you have to keep in mind that when you are throwing money at the problem, users will not feel particularly loyal to you. They will just see what you are promoting as another thing they can buy, and maybe they don't feel they participated much into the creation. So as soon as the next shiny thing comes along, they will move to that thing. So this is the problem of not taking the time to build a proper community. Anyway, here are some suggestions. How do you do it cheap? It's not really cheap, it's just slow and spending less money, let's put it that way. So first of all, you need to already have some kind of blog, a website, a Discord server, or other social channels in place. And you need to have some content there, so probably people are following you for some other project that is not specifically what you're trying to market here with the crowdfunding campaign. Another way is that maybe you have a Patreon, you have a podcast that people are listening to, you stream on Twitch, on YouTube, maybe you publish videos or reviews, I don't know, whatever your thing is, maybe you've been doing some stuff before, and that stuff has already some kind of following. Keep in mind that whatever your crowdfunding campaign is about, it needs to be loosely related to what you're doing, because if your YouTube channel is about reviewing games and then you are trying to crowdfund shoes, probably the audiences will not match. But we're talking about games here, so I'm assuming that the content you're producing is somewhat related to gaming. It could be like a design blog, it could be a podcast about interviewing creators, whatever, but it needs to be loosely related to gaming, I think, to work. And also it helps if you're a known contributor in other communities, that you've been there in these communities, forums, Discord servers, Facebook groups, whatever works for you. You've been a contributor and you're not just there once to spam. So they know that you've been around, you've been answering questions. That's why it needs to start earlier. If possible, just start 1 year before. Just show up, contribute to the discussion. People will be much more likely to listen what you have to say if they know that you've been around for a while, okay? The other thing is that, well, do you have subscribers to some kind of newsletter? Because those are super valuable, and if they enjoy your newsletter, they will be willing probably to take a look at whatever you are trying to sell now. Yeah, and then, well, this is what I mentioned already, that a year in advance. If you don't have any of this, start early. Start a year in advance, so you have time over the months to adjust the content you're producing, seeing how people react to it, and slowly building the following. If you don't have any of this set up, you need to start now, and your campaign needs to be next year, okay? Now, if you don't have the time to do this, you can try to do it faster. It's going to be a different kind of community. It's going to be more like an audience of buyers. You need to have a substantial marketing budget you can burn through, and I'm talking some thousands of whatever currency you're using, euros or dollars, because this stuff is expensive. The faster you need it, the more expensive this is going to be. Prepare some kind of preview related to the game you are offering, and give it away for free. Maybe ask for their email, so you can collect those and use them later in the campaign. You need to drive people to some kind of landing page. As I mentioned, you collect their emails, and you have some kind of email funnel in place. What is a funnel is that they get the first email where there is the maybe the thing they've been requesting, and then maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, whatever works for the time you have at your disposal, they get some updates. It might be something that discusses a bit better some aspects of the game. It could be about other projects you're working on. It could be design articles, whatever, that keeps them activated and somehow reminds them that you exist. Because otherwise people move to the next thing very quickly. There's so much content these days that it's really hard to keep people attention high. They just, basically the principle here is that they just need to remember that you and your game exist. That's the best you can hope for, because otherwise they will have other stuff to look at, and there's nothing you can do about that. You can try to send some of these people to a project preview for feedback. I've been seeing, for example, for board games, this works really well. People prepare two kind of covers for a game box, and they're asking, hey, which one do you like better? I think the answer here doesn't really matter. It's just to activate people. Of course, well, if you see that 80% prefer one cover, then you know that that's probably the cover you should go with. But often it doesn't really matter what they answer, because maybe you were going for both covers anyway. Maybe one is the special edition, one is not. It's just to get people interested in what you're doing, and well, hear their feedback, because they might have some good feedback. For example, I remember seeing some feedback on game boxes where people couldn't read the logo, and I think that's a big issue that many people brought up. Hey, I don't know how to read the name of this game because the letters are not clear. So that's very important feedback you can get in this situation. And then, well, you can try to have deals in place to have your game pushed by third-party pages, or you can create one for the occasion. Now, one thing I discovered trying to promote my projects is that many of the pages that are somewhat advertising board games campaigns and publishing news about them, they are all controlled by BackerKit. This was surprising. They're all different pages. They have slightly different names. BackerKit controls all of them. So it's really funny that there's always the same people behind most of the pages. When you see advertisements from pages with different names, 90% is BackerKit doing promotion through these pages. You can also try to set up one of these pages yourself. This is something I've been toying with. I never did it because it actually requires some effort. But if you start early enough and then you publish news also about other projects, when the time comes for your project, you could use that page as well if it has a good follow to promote also your thing. I'm talking mostly about Facebook ads here, but Facebook ads have been decreasing in efficiency in the last couple of years for various reasons that I'm not gonna go into. So yeah, consider very carefully what you want to do, because I don't think Facebook is gonna be the future for this stuff. It seems like the platform is on a steep decline. So it still works, it still makes sense, it's still where a lot of people see their advertisement of Facebook or Instagram, which is at the moment the same platform, all part of Meta. I'm not sure if this is going to be the case in the future. But yeah, you should be aware that it might not always be your best option. Anyway, whoever you can get to push your game that is not you directly, it's a good thing. General advice, I already mentioned you will get better results with an organically grown community compared to something you're just throwing money at. Influencers can go a long way in getting new fans, but be wary of the costs because they do not translate into conversions most of the time. My experience with this is that some influencers, even some big channels for board games, they ask really steep prices that don't make any sense. Like, they make sense because the amount of work they have to do, they will maybe produce a very good looking video, and I understand that it's gonna cost them time and money to make it that way. But then when you go look at how many people really watch these videos and how many of these are actually converting into buying the games, I think very few creators can provide you with reliable numbers, and you need numbers. This is a math problem. It's not gut feeling thing. So very few of them can provide you direct correlation to sales. And if they're asking you, I don't know, $7,000, which is something I was asked for one single video, just run, because you will never sell enough to cover the cost of that video, unless you don't have any video, and then you might want that to showcase the game in a special way, and then you can consider that as a marketing cost, but you will not make your money back because of influencers. This is especially true for RPG games. It is, I think, a bit different for board games, and some channels will definitely help your game during the campaign, but be very careful. It really depends what is your goal, what are your expectations, but I don't think thousands of dollars for one video make any sense, to be honest. And I don't know how to make this business model work. What I try to suggest to influencers that can I provide you with something that is useful for your channel and for your audience, and I see that maybe the smaller channels are more positive about this kind of approach, because often I know that they're not gonna help me sell the game directly, but they provide some kind of validation on the game, and if I can show that 3, 4, 5 channels have taken a look at this, it doesn't really matter that they're small. It's much better, I think, to have plenty of smaller videos than one big one, in my opinion. But well, you can make your own decisions, but I would be wary when they're asking thousands of dollars for a video. It just doesn't make sense. Like, you will not make those money back. So social validation for the game is essential. If you see that there's no reaction within your community, there's no hype, people don't seem interested, everything you post gets one like, and it's your mom, you need to start asking yourself questions, because that is a red flag. You need to think, okay, something is not working here. Why is it not working? Is it that people are not seeing this thing? Is that they are not interested in the game? Try different things, but if there's no reaction at all, it is a bad sign. And you need to accept that you might have to change how you do things, because persevering on something that is clearly not working is not gonna get your game funded. Keep in mind that backers of your campaign will become, some of them at least, will become new members of your community. So treat them well, because then they will feed into your community, and they might become permanent members of it. And if you are planning to have more than one game project, then you can bring them along to the next thing.